Hey guys, Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a good holiday period and looking forward to a new gaming year. I think it's going to be a cracking year of solid games coming out and war games. And just for interest sake, I run another channel where I do board game reviews and a lot of board game content. And at this time of the year, it's always interesting to see people's top 10 games of the year and that sort of stuff. And war games, we don't tend to do that very often because more often than not, I find that war gamers tend to focus on one or two particular games. You know, some of the people I play with, they have their one game that they love, either it be 40k or Bolt Action or whatever the case may be, Kings of War. So it's sometimes tougher to find like gamers who just play anything and do anything. I am one of those gamers. I love games, I love miniatures, I love all types of games and hobbies and things. So therefore I play a lot of things. And that would be one of the reasons why I'm not particularly good at one game, just enjoy gaming as a whole. So I wanted to do a top 5 games that I played last year. I went through a couple of my videos on the channel, looking at some of the games I played and stuff like that. Thinking back to, it's kind of why I also started filming the games, because it's quite fun watching the old games and going, oh yeah, I remember that game, that was cool. So I wanted to do a top 5 games I played last year. So let's get started. So my number 5 game of the year, and I mean I played a lot of really good games, and they're quite interchangeable, but I had to put them in some sort of order. And I was thinking of a couple of games that I played. So my number 5 is Shadow War Armageddon. So I don't have the book with me, so I'll just put a little picture here. I've had some great games of Shadow War, and it's actually developed into some other games that we tried. I mean, me and John used kind of a Space Hulk amalgamation with Shadow War as well. Really enjoyed it. I thought it creates an interesting narrative. Very basic, but it allows you to create some interesting narratives. And now with Necromunda just come out, I think that'll be quite good in the future to play some more games of those. So, my number 5 is Shadow War Armageddon from Games Workshop. Right, so my number 4 is from Mantic Games, and that is the Walking Dead miniatures game. I'm a big fan of the show. I've read a couple of the graphic novels, the first couple of issues and stuff. In fact, I read those before I even watched the show. But I never kept up with it. Just watched the show. But we've tried out the game. Obviously, we played Project Z as well from Warlord Games, which are also really good. But the Walking Dead game, I enjoyed it. There was some great. The video that we did for it, the first play video, that was super fun. The narrative that comes out of it, the interesting situations that arise and stuff, and the fact that the zombies are integral into how you play the game and stuff. It's a really clever game. I really enjoyed it a lot. I want to play a bit more. I haven't done a lot of games of it. We've got a friend of mine who has a large collection of the game. In fact, I have 2 friends who have a large collection. Neither mine. So just looking forward to playing some more of it in the future and see what they do with it. When we were at the Mantic Open Day, they were talking about bringing more content out for it and expanding it into even maybe a full-on miniatures game as opposed to, because it's kind of a hybrid board game at the moment. But it's a really good game, and I can see why it's doing so well for them. Other than the IP, it's just a very well-made game. So my number 4 is the Walking Dead miniatures game. Right. So my number 3 is a game from Studio Tomahawk, and it's Congo. Now, Congo is a fantastic game. I had so much fun playing this, and it all really started off really weirdly as well, because I saw a competition on Facebook from Studio Tomahawk where they were saying that you needed to make a character's name from a hat and a food, if I remember correctly. Yes, a hat and a food. So I made 2 characters up. The first one was Pepper Steak Stetson, or Pepper Stetson. Wow, I can't remember that. Pepper Steak Stetson. Yeah, so it was Pepper Steak Stetson was my main character's name, and then his friend and companion was Brie Bowler. So Brie cheese, bowler hat, Pepper Stetson. Not very clever, but it just amused me, and my friend then Tony, he said he actually had the game already, and he was willing to bring. He had a large collection of scenery, painted figures, and everything, and he brought it around, and we played a couple of games, and it was a really good fun. It's an interesting. It's got some interesting mechanics. You know, it's got kind of like that. You know, where you do the actions and you draw out these tokens out of the bag. Things can really happen quickly. I mean, one of the games we played, not the one we filmed, but I had this. What were they called? Like they were some sort of like I made like a theory of the brother and sister and little family of white European travelers, and they got murdered by these blowpipe guys. But it was hilarious because they ran away from one unit into a forest with these blowpipe guys, and they just massacred them all. And it was like, holy crap, that was unbelievable. And there was guys getting. It's just a fun game. I can't go through everything that was so fun because everything of it was fun. It was really good. I really enjoyed it a lot, and I really want to play it more. But I don't have the rule book. I don't have any figures for it. I'm totally relying on Tony, and when our schedules can align to play the game again. We tried to get a game over the Christmas period. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So hopefully I can get Tony around to bring some more. Or at some point in the future, I'm going to maybe have to try and build up a collection myself to do it. I've got a Zulu army up in the loft. Being from Africa and all. So maybe I can use them as the tribal dudes. I don't know. We'll see. But I enjoyed the game a lot. I thought it was really fun, and I'm dying to play it again. So, fingers crossed. So that's my number 3, Congo from Studio Tomahawk. So my number 2 game. Now, this is interesting. My number 2 game. I played this probably more than any other war game I've played this year, mainly due to the online campaign they had, and it was interesting because I played one opponent more than anyone else, but I played a few other opponents this year, and I started off not liking this game that much at all. When I first played it the first couple of times, there were certain aspects of it that just didn't sit right with me. But the more I played it, there was not a lot of other options out there, and I already had the figures. By the way, I'm talking about Kings of War from Mantic Games. There wasn't a lot of options, so I played it more and more. And the more I played it, the more I realised the sort of minutiae of what the game is about, and got over the things I disliked. I mean, for instance, one of the things I disliked was the actual, during my turn, your opponent doesn't even have to be in the room. You can go make the coffee, go for a smoke or whatever, and you can just do your whole thing. And that interaction really put me off, because I like games a lot more that are sort of keep flows in between the two players, and both players have to be involved all the time. And obviously Kings of War is designed specifically not to be like that. But I've played quite a few games with it now. I played the campaign, the Edge of the Abyss campaign with Swampy, and I've come to appreciate it a lot more than I first did. Funny enough, even where you base everything on the bases, so you can glue them straight down and make these little dioramas and stuff. That actually put me off in the beginning, ironically, because I like seeing the tactile nature of units disappearing and becoming physically weaker by having less and less men. Obviously, that clutters up the board and slows down the game because you're constantly taking figures off and stuff like that, and they have to repack them up when you pack them away, etc. like that. And obviously this game gives you the option of having these beautiful looking, when you go on the Kings of War Facebook page, you can see some of the armies the guys make, and they do some fantastic diorama bases. And it really brings the army together nicely and looks beautiful. And it's easy to move and pack away and stuff like that. So it's like pros and cons, isn't it? For every pro there's a con, so it's literally just what you want out of the game. And it's a really fast-paced game with some really interesting tactical decisions, and I still really much enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to playing some more. Might actually have to start an actual Mantic army, because I've been using my Empire army from Games Workshop's old fantasy days, and it's obviously all based on single bases and stuff, and I don't really want to rebase them. So it probably makes sense to actually maybe start a new one. I quite like the Abyss models, so I might do them. We'll see. So that's my number 2, Kings of War. And then my number one game for this year, and probably for the last couple of years, and it'll be no surprise to the people I play with and stuff, is Bolt Action from Warlord Games. Now, I love Bolt Action, and it's more to do with the rules really than anything else, because I mean I love the World War II setting. I used to watch loads of war movies as a kid. Still enjoy Band of Brothers, probably one of my all-time favorite series. But I'm not a like a proficient historian of World War II or anything like that. I literally know shit from I see from movies and a couple of books and stuff I've read maybe. So what I love about Bolt Action is all from the rules, and it's that really innovative. I mean, it doesn't seem that innovative now, but when I first played it, the drawing the dice out of the bag to activate units, oh, it's so good. It creates so much more tension and interest when you're playing. I mean, I actually played a game from Two Fat Lardies. A friend introduced it. I'm trying to think I think what it's called. I Ain't Been Shot, Mum. Was it that? Or maybe Principles of Rules, something like that. Something similar to that, where they use a card system. So the same principle. You know, for every unit you have a card in the deck, and then you draw out. But the one thing they added in, which I hated, was what they called the tea time card, which is, you know, it ends the round immediately when the tea time card is drawn. And I had a couple of games in a row where literally something might happen where you'd play the first, say, 3 or 4 turns of the game, you don't even get a go, because it's like British, tea time, shuffle up, British, tea time. I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. I hate this. But Bolt Action obviously takes out the just same system essentially, but they took out the tea time card, and the dice, which is all the different actions you do are written on the dice, and it's just a crisp, clear mechanic. And then because in World War II, the very nature of it is like everyone is just men with similar attributes. You know, American with a rifle is the same as a German with a rifle, the same as a Japanese guy with a rifle, or an Italian. So it comes a lot down to the tactics and strategies that you use, and combinations of the weapons that you use for the right job. You know, using the scenery when you activate them. Oh man, it's a fantastic game. I absolutely love Bolt Action, and hence the reason. I mean, just I've got Gates of Antares and Conflict 47 over here ready to start them. When we did a game of Gates of Antares this year, a very small game, I quite like that. I mean, it's basically Bolt Action in space, and then you got Bolt Action in the Hellboy universe. I'm talking about Hellboy. Mantic Games have announced a Hellboy board game or miniatures game, which also sounds really cool. So anyway, before I go off on a tangent and a rant or whatever, a ramble, Bolt Action is my #1 game for this year, and probably for most years, as I absolutely love the system, and it's dynamic, it's exciting, and it's got great setting. So that's it. So how about we discuss some of my anticipated games for this year. As I said in the beginning of the video, I like playing all sorts of games. I never just focus, like Bolt Action is my #1 game, but I play that maybe 6 or 7 times a year, because I play so many different games. I made a list of some of the games that are coming out or are out already that I'm interested in playing. I'll just run through them quickly. So maybe you'll see some of these games coming out on the channel, and if you want to see other games that you think I might like, you can always comment below and tell me about it. But in no particular order, I've just written down what I could remember. So from all 3 games, I got Lion Rampant and Dragon Rampant. So I got a medieval army that I split between me and John, and we're hoping to do a little mini campaign for that. I love medieval warfare, so Lion Rampant, a very basic sort of BM Pretzels type war game. I like the fact that you can just get it to the table and play, so I'm really looking forward to that. And they also do a fantasy version, Dragon Rampant, so why not try both? And then something that I got last year for my birthday, and it's coming around to my birthday again, and I've still not done anything with it, but I'm really excited to do it, and I've just been so busy, I just haven't had the chance, is Rune Wars, the miniatures game from Fantasy Flight. I love the Terranos setting. I'm a massive fan of high fantasy, you know, orcs, elves, humans, undead, and this is all in there, and it's got a really interesting sort of X-Wing style movement system and stuff, so I really need to get to the table with that. And then from Cool Mini or Not, they're bringing out a game called Game of Thrones, based on obviously the Game of Thrones setting. It's called something else other than Game of Thrones, but it's essentially Game of Thrones, the miniatures game. I've been watching a couple of the battle reports on Beast of War, really interested in this. I love the mechanic of having your non-combat characters influencing the battle on the intrigue board. That seems really cool. I really like that a lot. It seems quite a brutal game and represent more on the morale phases than maybe the actual combat. So it's interesting. I'm really looking forward to trying that and getting that to the table. And then one that I'm really excited about is from Modiphius, the Fallout miniatures game. I already got Fallout the board game from Fantasy Flight. I'm getting that to the table recently. Fantastic board game. Really looking forward to the miniatures game because I'm a massive fan of the computer game. I've been playing that a lot over Christmas now that these games have been coming out. So that'll hopefully be coming to the table. Another one from Fantasy Flight is Star Wars Legion. I've done so many sets of Imperial Assault that I think I'm almost an expert at making Star Wars figures. And I suspect I'm going to be painting a lot of Star Wars Legion, but I still want to try the game as well. Anyway, it looks really interesting. And both Fantasy Flight and Cool Mini or Not are both trying to get into that miniatures market, the miniature game market, with different mechanics rather than just the standard. So it turns out I'm a bit of a dummy and I lost the last half of that video somehow while editing. So I have to quickly redo the end of it here quickly, so I'm not going to go too much into what I've missed out, but I was talking about how I thought it was interesting how Simon, or Cool Mini or Not, and Fantasy Flight Games, who are predominantly board game manufacturers and publishers, have started venturing into the wargame market. I mean, Fantasy Flight, obviously, big jump in there with X-Wing, which is kind of a hybrid, and then obviously now they've got Rune Wars, which is basically a rank and file game in the Terranoth world, and same with Simon. They got the Song of Fire and Ice, which is a rank and file game, and they've also got a Kickstarter starting this, in fact, in a couple of days' time when I videoed this, called Hate, which is effectively just a skirmish game. So, and that would be on the list as well for me. So I just want to mention a couple more things before end of this video. I think Company of Iron from Privateer Press looks cool. I mean, I've always been a reasonable fan of War Machine. I'm just not that into it that I can, you know, go down that heavy competitive route. And so this seems like a more casual lift for me. Dark Age from Simon. I've already got the starter box, so I thought I might have a look at that. I like the look of Sharp's Practice from Two Fat Lardies. I think that looks really interesting. It's also got that, you know, card activation that they like, but you can use tiles instead of cards, which is cool as well. And it kind of works similar to Bolt Action, but you can use it in a Napoleonic area or maybe ATW in those sort of things. And I kind of like that, so I want to go with that. And I also want to try Test of Honor from Warlord Games. A whole Japanese theme. It sounds like it's a really good game. Loads of people love it, and I'm really looking forward to giving it a try. But those are a lot of projects, and whether or not I get to play all of those in a year, probably not. And who knows what else is coming out as things go on. I mean, you got also another one that I should be getting this year is Mantic's new Vanguard. That's, you know, sort of Kings of War skirmish. I really like the look of that because I remember when Games Workshop was, you know, focusing on their 3 core systems with Lord of the Rings and 40k and fantasy. Lord of the Rings had a mass battle version called War of the Ring, and they used Lord of the Rings, the strategy battle game, as a vanguard for War of the Ring. So I remember them bringing out a campaign supplement sort of scenarios where you could play a Lord of the Rings strategy battle game as a vanguard mission, and then the effects of that would trigger over into the War of the Ring game, which I loved the idea of that. I never had many opponents to play Lord of the Rings with. So now you got Kings of War and then Vanguard, which does exactly the same thing. So I'm really looking forward to trying that out. And I already played Kings of War, so no real big jump there. But there's loads of other games that I already have that I haven't played this year, like Dead Zone and a lot of the Offspring Blue Book games, like, well, I already mentioned Lion and Dragon Rampant. You got Frostgrave, obviously. I've had that for a while, not really played it much. They've got the Broken Legions, which is with the Romans and the mythical stuff. They got America's Dracula, and they got lots of other little cool little Blue Book war games which I want to try. So there's lots to play, and hopefully I'll get a lot of that played and put onto the channel, and you know, just increase the content that I bring out so you can see all the different games and see the factions that I build and paint and, well, build more likely. Alright, so that's a look at my top 5 war games and some of the games I'm anticipating playing this year. Thanks for watching, and if you liked it and you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks guys, see you later.